Hey guys, this is Howard Ubertech back with another video. Today's video is going to be how to remove the striker assembly and extractor for the Hellcat. Before I get started, I'd like to give a big thanks to Gun Prime. This video would not be possible without Gun Prime. Show some support and check out their channel. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the video. So as you can tell, there's just a slide here. If you need help disassembling everything to get to this part, there's going to be a link right up here you can click on, so this way it'll show you how to disassemble everything. Once you're at this part, come back to the video and then you can follow through. Something you're going to need to accomplish this would be a 3mm punch, or this is what I prefer, a plastic cleaning tool with this type of end. This to me is probably the best option because there are pieces that we're going to be pushing on, like right here and here, that are plastic, and you don't want to mar those pieces up. So plastic on plastic is a little bit safer. So that's what I'll be using. If you have a armor's block, that would be helpful. Also, since you have everything taken apart, you would probably want to wipe everything down. And what I normally use to wipe things down is like the patches that you would normally use to clean the barrel, or paper towels that don't leave lint behind. So that being said, let's get started. What we need to do is this square piece right here needs to be compressed downward. Okay, so when we push this down, we're going to push and compress the spring that's underneath here. And then while we have it compressed, we're going to tilt this cleaning tool to the left, so it kind of pushes this back plate this way. Once we get it started, what we need to do is we'll have to compress this piece, and then we can fully remove the back plate. Keep in mind that when we're removing this back plate, you really want to make sure that you have your thumb or finger on this piece and this piece right here, because they're both underneath spring tension. I've had this piece come flying out and shoot across the room before in the past, so be really careful and keep your finger on both parts. So let's get started. We're going to put the cleaning tool over here, and we're going to compress this piece down, and then we're going to tilt. So you heard that click. All that is I tilted the cleaning tool to the left, so this way it edges this plate out, and you can see it started. So now we need to compress this piece here so we can fully remove the back plate. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thumb, I'm going to put it over the back plate, and I'm going to put the cleaning tool right on this little circle thing, compress this down like this, and then remove and slowly release the pressure on this little circle thing. And then you can see the back plate is out. Set that aside. And then what we'll do is we'll remove the striker assembly. You can push up on this part, on this silver piece right here, and the striker assembly comes out. Set that aside. This piece right here with the spring, this black piece can come off of the spring, so be careful not to lose that part. Also, there's two more pieces in this hole right here that I'm pointing to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt this upside down, give it a few taps on my hand, and then you can see that the other two pieces came out. So these are the other two pieces, and that is all part of the extractor assembly. The only other two pieces we have to remove is the actual extractor and this plunger piece right here. So what I normally do is I put my thumb over the plunger, I push inward, and then the extractor falls right out. Just like that. Set this aside, and then releasing the pressure with my thumb. You have to be careful with this part because there is a spring underneath the plunger, and there it is. Okay, remove this part. This just lays in there. It doesn't like click in or anything. So again, just be careful not to lose anything. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to disassemble the striker assembly. And so you probably could put this in here if you don't have an armor's block and compress the spring and all that, but when you do that, this piece right here is metal and it goes against your slide and it could mar up the back of your slide. So Me personally, I wouldn't do that because I just wouldn't want to mar up my slide. So I would probably use like the table if I didn't have an armorer's block. But in this situation, I'm going to use my armorer's block and I'm going to put it into this hole like this. And the reason why I like this is because as you're compressing this down, it kind of keeps everything in place. To disassemble your striker assembly, what you're going to do is you're going to need to compress this spring here downward, and then this piece right here, this black collar, these are 2 cups and they're in 2 halves. So when you compress the spring down, the cups come out and then you can release the tension on the spring. So it'll look something like this. I take 2 fingers and I compress this down, and then the 1 cup comes out, and then the other cup comes out, and then slowly release the pressure on the spring, set that aside, and then take this out, and that is it. You have successfully disassembled the striker assembly. So now that you have everything taken apart, what I normally would do is I would wipe everything down and, you know, shine it all up. The one thing you want to make sure is that there's no oil on any of these parts, because when you put the striker assembly back into the slide, there should be no oil on the striker assembly at all. So now let's put the striker assembly back together. So we're going to take the sleeve and the striker, put that in just like that. We have to compress this spring all the way down underneath this lip right here, and then we have to put the 2 half cups underneath this portion right here. And what that does is this will capture the spring, all right, where it needs to be. I'll show you what it looks like. So we're going to put this piece into the armorer's block, and then we're going to put the spring over the striker just like that, and then we're going to compress this down just like that. Take 1 half, put it in like this, then take the other half and put it on the other side just like that, and then slowly let the spring come back up, and there you go. Everything's back in the spring tension. So you could see the black piece right here. These 2 black cups are back in place, and the spring is back in spring tension, and everything should be working. Yep, works just fine. So before we put everything back together, you can wipe everything down. And as you can see, this Hellcat is fairly new, so there's really not going to be much I'm going to get off of everything. This part is your extractor, and this can get kind of dirty, especially underneath this lip right here, because that's where it's taking the spent casing out. And you could just get in there and wipe that down. Once you've wiped everything down, now you can put everything back together. Take this little black rod. There are 2 little etched out pieces right here. This goes into the spring just like this, with the etched out pieces going in first. Then you take this piece, and this little nub here goes into the spring just like that. You want to make sure that, see this little etched out piece, that and this notched out piece right here is facing the same direction. Set that aside. Now we have to install the spring into this hole right here. We're going to put that in just like that. Then we take our plunger. This only gets installed one way. So there's 2 sides here. There's the thicker part right here, and then there's the thin part right here. And in between, there's like that etched out piece. The thicker part will go on this side of the frame, and then the thin piece right here will go towards this silver piece in the middle. And also underneath the plunger, there's this little circle. This spring will lay into that circle, and I'll show you how it looks. Goes just like this. Just like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your thumb, compress that spring just like that. Take your extractor, and there's two sides to the extractor. There's this piece where my thumb is, and that is what pulls the spent casing out. And then here's this little circle piece on the other side. That little circle piece goes into here, and the extractor will go on this side of the slide. So it's going to look something like this. So circle piece on this side, extractor on this side, and you're going to kind of go underneath like this, all right? And then that circle piece will lay right in there, just like that. You could take the pressure off your thumb with the plunger, and now everything's captured correctly. Now we're going to take this piece, and you're going to be careful with this part because this piece right here falls off real easily. And you're going to make sure, again, this notched out piece on this side where my finger is, and this piece right here, the notched out part, are facing in the same direction. And you're going to insert this side first, and it's going to go into this hole right here where my finger is, right there. And it's going to look something like this. So it goes in just like that. And now I'm going to flip this over and see where my thumb is. You're going to see that piece come right into there. There you go. You're going to push until it makes that little click. Now you know it's seated correctly. Take your striker assembly. This part of the striker goes into this hole just like that. And then this silver part will go into this channel right here, just like this. Boom, there you go. Now we have to install the back plate, and this part of the back plate and this part of the back plate will get inserted to this area right here, that little notched out piece, and this little notched out piece. One thing to note is that this notched out piece right here is going to get compressed down, and then it's going to line up with that little notched out piece on the slide. What we're first going to do is we're going to compress this piece right here, the striker assembly. We're going to compress that down first and then start sliding in our back plate. So it's going to look something like this. I'm going to push down with my thumb to start compressing, okay, like that. And then I'm going to start feeding this back plate into this area like that. All right, so I have it started. Now you notice I'm a little crooked. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just move that slightly so I can get everything lined up just like that. Now I need to take our tool and I need to go on top of this piece right here, making sure that where this little notch is facing to the left, to the inside of the slide. And I'm going to put the tool on top here, compress downward, and then push my thumb on the back plate, and I'm going to push forward like that. So this way the back plate gets pushed in. So it's going to look something like this. So push down, compressing that spring, push in with my thumb, and boom, everything has been captured correctly. That's it. You have successfully disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled the striker assembly and your extractor for your Hellcat. Again, I'd like to give a big thanks to Gun Prime because this video would not be possible without them. And also, guys, if you thought this video was helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Every subscriber helps the channel grow. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.